boys and girls. Yesterday in reading, you got to look at a photograph of something kind of silly happening, and you got to practice asking questions. And we even kind of talked about what a question was again. Today, I'm going to kind of backtrack and talk about the kinds of questions that I showed you on the other anchor chart. I haven't had a chance to listen to all of your questions yet to know if you did thin or thick questions about the elephant sitting on the car, but I'll go listen to them soon. But I want to tell you the difference between a thin and thick question. So we'll start with thin. You see how I wrote it very thin? I wrote the letters thin, and here I wrote the letters very thick, right? So a thin question is a question that's really easy to answer. The answer is usually right in the book. Like, it's easy to find. It's right there. You can go in and find it. The answer could even be yes or no. Okay, like if I asked, is the character a boy? And you could say yes or no, right? That would be an easy, thin question. Usually there's only one answer to the question, only one correct answer. Some types of thin questions start with some of these sentence stems, kind of like what I showed you yesterday, but that's okay because it's a good place to start. Questions like who is the character, right? There's only one answer. What were they doing in the house, okay? How many friends did they have? When did Wolf go to his party? Where was everybody hiding? So I was thinking about a whole bunch of different books there when I was practicing asking those questions. But they're all thin questions. The answer is right there in the story. Easy to find, okay? They're okay sometimes, but we're going to talk about thick questions. Sometimes when you guys are doing reading with me in Zooms, or if you're doing a reading test, these are the types of questions that you guys get stuck on because the answer is not in the book. They're not telling you the answer. You can look and look and look and look, but they're not telling you the answer because you have to use what's in the book plus what's in your brain or your schema to help you answer these questions. So let's see what a thick question is. It's one that's harder to answer. You need to think and use your schema. So I was just telling you a little bit about that, right? Like, if you know that when people lie, they usually cross their fingers, and the character is crossing his fingers, then you probably know that he might be lying, right? Or maybe he gets nervous and he gets red or something. Those would be using your schema because you've seen other people do that before, okay? And then you use the text or the illustrations to help you also. So clues from the book, but also what you know. And that's here another thing. Use evidence from the text. So in the example I was just giving you of somebody who's lying, little illustrations like this maybe could give you a clue. And sometimes the words give you a clue also. There can be more than one answer, many answers, because people could think things a little differently based on the illustrations or based on the story. People could have different opinions, okay? Let's look at some examples of thick questions. For example, if you said why? Why do you think the character lied? Well, you might think lots of different reasons. How come is kind of another way to say why. We could ask a question, I wonder. I wonder why he lied, or I wonder why his mom didn't get mad at him. What does the author mean? I ask you this question all the time. I might say, why did the author do that? Well, you don't know. You can't ask the author. They're not sitting right there. So you have to think like a writer and use what's in the book to help you make that decision, to answer that question. The other question could be a what if. Those are different examples, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to ask a thick and a thin question, or several thick and thin questions, while reading a book. And then that's what you're going to get to do. I'm going to be giving you a book on Epic for you to look through, and you just have to do a couple of pages, but after each page, stop and think and ask a few thick and thin questions, okay? So I'll probably give you a T-chart like this that says thin and thick. I'll put these little sentence starters on there to help you, or question starters, to help you think of a good question that matches the book, okay? So here we go. I'm going to try to prop this up, kind of. Let me move my camera, trying different places in the house to do video here. We're in the basement. Okay, so here's the book I'm going to read. wild baby animals. So I decided, here I'm going to get down here a little bit further. I decided that a nonfiction book might be the easiest way to start. So here we go. This book, here we go. So these are all about, let's think again, wild baby animals, right? Here we go. Chapter 1, Birth. Baby squirrels are born in a warm and cozy nest. They have no fur and their eyes are closed. They start to climb at 8 weeks old. Okay, so I can ask lots of questions here. Let me think of a thin question. Where do baby squirrels get born in? Right, the answer is right here. They get born in a warm, cozy nest. That's a thin question, okay? That's another thin question. How many squirrels were born? Like, I could count them, right? Yeah, thin question. When do babies start to climb? When do baby squirrels start to climb? It says right here on page 5 that they start to climb at 8 weeks old. The answer's right there. So those are thin questions. Okay, let me see if I can ask a thick one. I wonder why squirrels start to climb at 8 weeks old. That's a thick question because there could be lots of reasons why, right? Maybe it's because their mom needs to go off and do other things, like she needs to start feeding herself. Maybe it's so that they can start learning and keeping themselves safe and protecting themselves. I don't know, there could be lots of reasons, right? Okay, so that was a thick question. Let's try some more. This section's about baby rabbits. Roly-poly. Rabbit kits are born deep inside burrows. They drink their mom's milk for the first few weeks. By 1 month old, they spend most of their time outside. Okay, so let's see. Let's ask a thin question first. Thin. What do they drink for the first few weeks? The answer's right there, right? They drink their mother's milk. So that's a thin question. It's an okay question, but we're practicing thick also. Let's see. Where are baby kits born? That's another thin question, right? Where? I got where right here. They are born in burrows. Okay? Let's think. Let me ask a thick question. Why do they spend most of their time outside? Looking for food, maybe? Getting fresh air? Getting exercise? I don't know. What if they go outside before 1 month old? What if it's snowy outside when they go out when they're that young? Can they survive? Are those answers in this section? No, I'm wondering. I'm looking here and it's making me wonder. I might not find the answer in here, but I can still wonder, right? It gets me thinking. Okay, I'm thinking about the book. Let's do one more. Wriggle. At birth, a kangaroo joey is the size of a jelly bean. The joey crawls up its mom's fur and falls into her pouch. Okay, so I could say, how big is a kangaroo joey when they're born? That's a thin question because the answer's right there, right? They are the size of a jelly bean. So that's thin, okay? Then it says they crawl up its mother's fur and into her pouch. So I'm going to say, why do they crawl into her pouch? What do they do there? How long are they there? It doesn't say that really. Oh, wait, it does. The joey spends more than 6 months in the pouch. So that's a thin question because the answer was right there. Why do they spend that much time in the pouch? What if, here's a what if, this is thick. What if the mommy dies and the baby doesn't have a pouch to get in? What happens then? Can it survive? I don't know. So thick questions, you might not be able to find the answer right in your book. Okay? So, like I said, I'm going to be giving you a book on Epic to read, and I think I'm going to go ahead and give you a nonfiction just because that's what I modeled today. And I'll put thin and thick sentence starters or question stems on there for you to look at to help you kind of think of good questions. So I'm going to ask for probably at least 2 thin and 2 thick questions from the book. Okay?